have your siblings when you were younger?
Well, I have two younger brothers, and my one brother, his name is Damon, and he's 3 years younger than me, and another one 3 years younger than me. So he's 6 years younger than me. And my brothers used to gang up on me because I used to have to babysit them, and they would do all kinds of things to make my life totally a craziness. And I started babysitting them probably around age 11. So they would like hide in cabinets, or they would make the house all disastrous, or they would just do all kinds of craziness to make my life just totally manic. And then when my mom and dad would come home, they would blame it all on me. And I was like, oh, that's nice.
So how do you solve it?
I never really did. I grew up. No, because mom and dad never believed me. And they said, oh, Natalie, you're nagging them. My name's Natalie, by the way. They would say, you're nagging them, you're not giving them enough attention, you're not, controlling them enough. But I was only 11 or 12. And then as I grew up, my mom and dad, I think maybe they just realized that I wasn't able to handle it all. And so then they just kind of stopped having me watch them, which was good.
So, do you think you could have done anything better? If you went back to the time machine, what would you do?
I think I'd sit down with my brothers and have a deal. We'd make a deal. We'd say, okay, guys, the situation is I have to watch you. But really, we're a family and we're together. What should we do to make the day okay for both you and I to live with?
Well, I have 5 sisters and 3 brothers, so there were definitely conflicts. Let's see. My 2 older siblings, since there are 3 of us that are older, we sort of would pair up at different times throughout our life. So we ganged up on each other at different times. So we had to learn how to work out our problems if we wanted to get what we wanted from our parents. So we did that. My younger siblings, yes, are 10 years younger than me. So therefore, I took care of them more than I argued with them. So if I got tired of them and I was arguing with them, I would simply give them back to my mother, and that was my resolution to my problem.
So is there some sort of conflict that you remember vividly, stayed in your mind your whole life?
Okay, let's see. A conflict that stayed in my mind. Who was going to get the top bunk on our bunk beds? There you go. Is that a good conflict?
Yes.
And it was very important to me at the time to be on the top bunk, but I would sleep so soundly I would fall off. So my sister won that argument. She got to stay on the top bunk, and I tried really hard to convince my mother that I could do it and stay on the bottom bunk, but it just didn't work.
So how did you solve it?
I solved it by deciding that I had to make the bottom bunk cool. So I decided that I wouldn't make the top bunk cool, that I would just learn ways to make what I had, my situation, the best that it could be. So I put new pillows and a new blanket, and I did all the things to make my space cooler than my sister's top bunk.
So do you think you could have done anything better if you went back in a time machine to do that over again?
I threw quite a few fits, so I probably could have avoided that. And if I could, I think I could have used that same method that I used to make my situation cool. I think sometimes when I had another argument, instead of worrying about what the other person had and playing keep away and doing that sometimes it helps just making your own personal item cool, and that makes it where you don't have to fight over it anymore.
Okay.
If you're sitting on a couch watching TV and you're watching a really interesting show and somebody came in front of you and tried to get you off the couch, what would you do?
Well, it depends how they try to get me off the couch. If they were punching, I'd punch back, or I'd just tell them to leave, and it would somehow end up to me leaving or them leaving.
Would you act aggressively by choice or assertively, as in neutral, sort of try to get him off, trying to get them off your back, but not really aggressive.
Neutral.
Neutral, so assertive. Alright. What would you do if the conflict, if you try to act assertively and it turned into aggressive?
I would get aggressive again. I did aggressive again.
If you were a bystander and you saw this conflict, would you stay a bystander or would you try to interfere?
I'd interfere unless it got really aggressive.
Okay. Okay, that's all we need you for.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
If you're sitting on the couch and watching a really interesting show, and somebody told you to get off the couch, what would you do? Would you be passive or aggressive?
I would argue. It all depends who it is.
What if it was your brother?
Then I would tell him to bug off.
Okay. What would you do if you tried to act assertively and the guy was acting aggressively and you couldn't reach an agreement?
I would tell him to bug off.
If you're a bystander to this conflict, would you stay a bystander or interfere?
I don't see why anyone would care.
What were the reasons why you didn't want to interfere?
Because it's a freaking TV show. Who cares?